Welcome back, mighty friends. Brother TC coming at you live from down in the bayou. Yeah. Down in the swamps, y'all. Down here where the cypress trees and the crepe myrtle grow. Yeah, there's two faithful witnesses along the edge of the Jordan River. Yeah, that great divide between Texas and Louisiana. Yeah. Some men traveling east and some men traveling west. But once, or maybe 2 or 3 times ago, there was a man by the name of Abraham, and he had a son, and he named his son Isaac. And Isaac, the son of Abraham, married a woman named Rebekah, and she gave birth to twin boys, one named Esau and the other named Jacob. When the 2 boys grew up, Esau, because his father's favorite, he always was his father's favorite. Yeah. But as he was becoming his father's favorite, he loved him so much because he loved the outdoors and was a skillful hunter. His ability to draw the bow and hit the mark, the bullseye, was exceptional, even from a young age. Yeah, and they began to call him Fletcher for his aim. The bow in his left hand, the arrows always were knocked in the right hand and made true when they hit the mark. Skillful hunters, just like his father. Yeah. And Jacob became his mother's favorite because he was a quiet boy who preferred to stay at home and help her with all her tasks. He loved her so much. He would do anything for her because they were so different from one another. Esau and Jacob, they had trouble getting along. Yeah. Young boys are like that. One day Esau came in from the field very hungry. He saw Jacob boiling some soup and asked his brother to share it with him. Jacob refused to give Esau any soup unless Esau sold him his birthright. In those days, a birthright was very important, even to this very day, for those who aren't blind to the Spirit. Because it meant that the oldest son would inherit his father's land. Esau was older than Jacob and therefore was entitled to his father's land when Isaac died. Esau was so hungry, a man in his lustful desires, that he did not care about his birthright. At that moment, He was so hungry that he agreed to sell his birthright for a bowl of soup to his brother. Yeah. Was his brother wrong? Or was his brother wrong? Was one wrong for buying and the other selling? Or one was wrong selling and the other buying? I'll let the Spirit, yea, of the eternal Father, everlasting glory, I pray it goes in your heart this very day. Yea, like a United States of America, like Old Glory, what it stands for, what I stood back in the day, yea, with my right hand over my heart, pledging allegiance to the American flag every day in school, and saying the prayer, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. You know, the one right out of the King James Bible. Ethics, nobility in men's hearts and minds was at a measure this generation can't even imagine ever existed upon the earth. They don't even understand that the wickedness of evil men and the millions of people that they have slain on this earth in their wickedness, the blind, yea, those that worship, yea, love for money and not the love of the truth. So as the years passed, old Isaac grew old and blind. I wonder why. When he knew that he was ready to die, he called Esau to his side to give him a final blessing. Before Isaac blessed Esau, he told his son to hunt a deer and prepare him a meal. Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to Esau. Yea, a mother that wields the left hand upon her son. Yea, and on the father. He became blind by her manipulation, likened to the whore of Mystery Babylon, and he was too blind to see it in his old age. Yeah, but the love of the mother for her son, and the son faithfulness to the mother, even in the left-hand path. For his mother said it was okay, so he went that way. Oh, I pray that all the mothers, yea, all the hidden hands upon the whole earth, yea, hide that left hand, yea, let the left hand be cut off if it makes your right hand sin, and place your right hand upon that son you love so much, and pray a proverb of the king, of the beloved David, upon them each day, that they would be made wise, yea, and all those things, all that golden anointing oil you poured into them when they were young, yea, and they shall not depart from the way, the truth, and the life of everlasting glory upon the earth. Yea, when the right-handed love of the mother hands the son she loves over to the man she loves, where he can finish his work. A master builder inside, a craftsman of the perfect work, building the third temple, in Yahovah's perfect time. So when Esau had gone into the field to hunt, she prepared some meat and told Jacob to take it now to your father, so that Isaac, would bless Jacob instead of Esau. The left hand of deception. A love not of the truth, but of dishonor and corruption in a man's heart forever. A seed that, when planted in good soil, even the weeds come up all around the good herb of the field. Jacob, he had a good heart. So he was reluctant to do this dishonest thing. But at last he agreed to follow what his mother wanted because he loved her so much. And he was still young and not wise in the way of the left hand of mystery Babylon upon the earth, even to this very day. So he brought the meal to his father, and Isaac gave him his final blessing, thinking that it was Esau. They even put a hairy hide like a goat skin that his father could feel, and he knew that was his Esau. But he questioned it, but made Jacob lie to his father. And once that seed of deceit and deception is planted, the lies never end. You take the oath of secrecy and you lie forever. Your heart can never be filled with forgiveness and grace, and mercy. Only evil can be in the heart of a man, for that is what the word professes, that the everlasting glory, the eternal Father's everlasting glory, his Son, the living word, be in your heart. That the Spirit, of the Son, which is the door that opens your spiritual mind, that 94% of your brain, that your carnal mind, can't get through the door. But there are some, that come in some other way than the door into their spiritual mind of darkness. And they seek light to fill their darkness. And their darkness is filled, with demons, that appear as angels of light in the hearts of men to deceive them, to test their hearts if they love the truth or if they'll love the lie more than the truth. I pray this very day that all the earth would love the truth. All those written in the Lamb's book of life. Rejoice not, mighty friends, that spirits, are at your command. Rejoice rather that your name is written in the Lamb's book of life. Call out to Yahushua, the mighty one of Israel, the King of the Sabbath day, our King of right understanding. We are his kingdom of priests of the order of right understanding, a 4-4-4-2, like a 3 and a 1 together for a 4, an old Oldsmobile, 1968, a 4-4-2, with an everlasting moment in the beginning to take it all the way to the end. The gold stripes, and the hearse that comes with that shift from first to second, that the smoke in the tires would spin and you would be thrust forth once more. Now, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, just as soon, and had sent him away, Esau returned with the meal he had prepared for his father. Then Isaac realized that he had been deceived and was deeply hurt and angered that Jacob could do such a thing, never realizing that it was his mother, his left hand that he never saw, that led him astray. His faithfulness to his father and his faithfulness to his mother, made them blind like their father, and their mother, like the womb of darkness, in the pit. So from that day, Esau hated Jacob and vowed that he would kill him for taking away his birthright and his blessing. But the words of Esau were brought to Rebekah, and she sent Jacob away to live with her brother Laban until Esau's anger cooled. On the way to his uncle's house, old Jacob stopped to rest for the night. While he was sleeping, he dreamed that there was a ladder set up on the earth. The top of the ladder reached all the way to heaven, and God's angels were climbing up and down the ladder. A world unlocked by the left hand, and he went in some other way and saw a connection with heaven and earth. He saw many, many things. At the top of the ladder, mighty Yahovah stood above all and said to Jacob, I am Yahushua, the God of Abraham and Isaac. The land on which you lie, the eyes will give to you and your descendants, and And your descendants, yea, they shall spread like dust to the west and to the east, to the north, yea, and all that old glory be in the south. The following morning, Jacob arose and took the stone which he had used to sleep on and set it up as a pillar. Yea, a pillar upon the earth. There he poured oil upon it to mark it as a spot of blessed memory. And he called the place where God had visited him Bethel, which means the house of Jehovah. Jacob continued on his journey until he came to a field where Laban's beautiful daughter Rachel, oh, look at Rachel, how young and beautiful she is. She was tending the sheep. Rachel greeted Jacob warmly and brought him to see her father. Jacob worked for Laban for a month, and during this time he grew to love Rachel. When Laban asked him what his wages should be, Jacob replied that he would like to have Rachel in marriage and agreed to work 7 years for her hand. A bondservant to Laban, the woman he loves, father. At the end of the 7 years of working for Laban, Rachel became Jacob's wife. But Laban continued to treat Jacob badly and often refused to pay him his wages as he had promised. Finally, Jacob could not bear this treatment any longer. He gathered his wives and children on camels and set out for Canaan, the land of his birth, Canaan land. So you know what Rachel's father did to him? After working 7 years, he got him all drunk. And in the biblical reckoning of a marriage, you are betrothed, like they were, for 7 years as he worked for her, never knowing her physically. Perhaps entering in not through the door, some other way. Yea, that the Mashiach says is the way of a thief and a robber, and the truth is not in them that do these things. And so he sent a different daughter into him, and when they consecrated and loved one another, they became married. And when he awoke the next morning to his beautiful Rachel bride and realized that it was his her sister and not the woman he loved. And so Laban, Rachel's father, made him work 7 more years. And so when they left with all these things, these camels and things, he left with 2 of his daughters. Yea. after working 14 years for them. Yeah, probably a good thing, as though Esau had plenty of time to cool off, I think. What do you think? Before old Jacob arrived in Canaan, he sent messengers to tell his brother Esau that he was truly sorry he had cheated him, that he was coming in peace. Jacob's messenger, however, brought back bad news. Esau was coming with 400 men to fight Jacob and his people. I guess 14 years wasn't enough time for old Esau to cool off, huh? Well, what do you think happened next? Well, let's see. That same night, Jacob was bothered by his conscience. Yeah, and went off by himself to think about all the things he's done in his life. While he was alone, a man came and wrestled with him until the break of day. Yeah, a messenger, a man, an angel. A man can become like angels in heaven and be an angel upon the earth, the spirit of truth within them. And nothing, which is the will of the Father, which is all that the faithful Son does, is the will of the Father and nothing else. Yea, faithful one and true. I pray that each one of you, little children of light, radiate like the firmament of the sun inside your heart. Yehoshua, the everlasting glory of our Father, yea, that you might know him one day by your love of his everlasting glory, a love of the truth, which is the Word made flesh in your heart. Yeah, and the fire on your altar, and the oil poured upon your head, and the Yod He Vav He written on your forehead. Yeah, that nothing, the truth in your heart, Yehoshua, and the Father revealed by the Son in the tabernacle of David, yea, in the tabernacle of your mind, yea, the protection, the covering, the prayer shawl over that white lamb skin, yea, with the flap circumcised and all the contents laid before the furnace of the fire, melting, burning forever, a molten fire upon the earth. With the blood of Yehoshua, ye could dye that white lamb skin red, and it would be covered and seen, yeah, as a badger skin, a prayer shawl on the outside. Yeah, that goat hair, yeah, Jacob, on his left-hand arm. His blind father couldn't see it. Yeah, do you understand the mystery of heaven before us all, mighty friend? Yea, my brother, yea, I love you all that love the truth more than your next breath. Because the hope of everlasting glory is in your heart, a seed like a mustard seed, the smallest of all the seeds, but when it's placed in the good soil, it grows to the mightiest of all the herbs of the field. Yea, and even its branches, the fowl of the earth, come and roost in its branches, that they may unlock the temple doors that they have been imprisoned into, and be set free. Yea, that the hinges of their double doors, that the beautiful gate in their heart and mind would open the double door, and Yehoshua, that one once pierced, he, like in days of old, would open those double doors in your heart, in heavens, each one's heaven in their heart. Yehoshua, our King of the Sabbath day, would beckon them in and teach them to become a wise master builder deep inside. Yea, and to fear our Father is to hate evil. Yea, and remove it like an eagle flying with a keen eye upon the earth. That the right hand of our children would be all they would ever know, and they would live forever and bring forth the seed of Adam. That the deception of the whore of Babylon and the pit of hell brought forth that deceives the hearts of men could crust, and the Red River would flow no more. And they would become two as one, each of us with the Mashiach, and the one that we love carnally upon the earth, with hinges upon both the doors in our hearts, and we can join together the one we love upon the earth, two as one, and hover, and the sun would open the door, and the marry of the bridegroom would commence. In the work of Elijah to restore all the Elisha spirits in the twinkling of their eye in this moment, to hover and pour their golden anointing oil. Yea, the right hand, the hidden hand of the mother, yea, that honors the Father and the Son. Yea, even the left hand, her left hand removed, and the right hand would bring forth all the goodness upon the earth, as the Father made the earth, that we may rejoice everlasting upon it. Seen and unseen, the work, the perfect work of free will in men's, yea, in the hearts of angels. There are no men or women angels. They are only angels. for they have seen the tree of good and evil, and they honor the Father by never eating, yea, never washing the root of that tree. Yea, the tree of life is where they reside. Hallelujah, Jehovah. And the everlasting glory, his Son made flesh in your heart this day, Yahushua, the new name, same as the old name. The old language, Hebrew, come alive again as the people of Israel and the great nation has come forth. Jesus is Latin, a dead language. I don't think the name above all names would come forth from a dead language. You know, it took me 2 years when I found out the truth about what I just said. So don't hate me. Love the battle you're in now, the sifting you're in now, to see and taste the salt upon your lips. Yea. I pray you all will be found worthy. Then Jacob learned that the man with whom he had fought was an angel of mighty Jehovah. Yea. And to him, because you have accepted the challenge to fight and have not given up, you have earned God's favor. Then the angel changed Jacob's name to Israel. Yea, a name that means he who struggles with God, or the reliable one. When the angel had left, Jacob looked into the distance and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. As Esau approached Jacob, Jacob bowed himself to the ground 7 times. Jacob bowed himself to the ground to his brother 7 times. And instead of fighting, Esau ran to Jacob to meet him and embrace him and wept because he was so glad to see his brother. Yea, hallelujah. Jacob was likewise filled with joy because he had found favor in his brother's eyes. Both men returned to Canaan with their families, and as God had foretold, Jacob's descendants spread over the face of the whole earth. So Jacob, the son of Isaac, he had 12 sons. They didn't all have the same mother. Things were a bit different back in the olden days. Jacob had been married by more than one woman. And he raised the sheep, and his sons who worked as shepherds were strong and often very violent men. Except for Joseph, the son of Rachel. He was a dreamy, thoughtful boy, and his rough older brothers didn't like him at all. Are you serious? You, little lamb, little spotless yearling lamb? Are you the we in E, the everlasting glory, seeking to open the door where you and I can come in and out of the field and lay upon the green pasture by the still water? Yea, and bow 7 times to our brother, that he would forgive us of our iniquity, and that we could live, yea, together. Each one alongside. To make their resentment worse than anyone thought it could ever be, Joseph was his father's favorite son and was treated better than all the other brothers. When Joseph was about 17 years old, yea, a fine, upstanding young man, I think he'll do. His father gave him a long robe with sleeves, shepherd's dress in very rough clothes, even to this very day. And this long, colorful robe was a ceremonial garment. Yea, like inside the tabernacle, yea, that goat hair laid over the coat of many colors, that the 7 spirits, when they enter in your heart and mind, yea, that you can see the angels upon the earth, the palm trees, and hear the bells, see the light of the menorah, yea, and the word of God, and the scent of heaven, and the glory of God before us all. So this robe, this coat of many colors made their Joseph brothers even more jealous. To make matters even worse, Joseph told the family of 2 dreams that he had. In one of the dreams, the brothers were working in the field, binding grain into sheaves. Sheaves are bundles that are stood on end in the field so that they can be collected later once they've dried. In his dream, Joseph saw the sheaves that his brothers had tied bowed down before his sheaf. His second dream angered even his father. He dreamed that the sun and moon and 11 stars bowed down to him. Jacob asked Joseph angrily, "Shall the eyes and your mother and your brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to you to the earth?" They would never do it in their prideful nature. Mashiach's love in their heart. They rejected him, and so they are blind in part, even some to this very day. But one day, Jacob sent Joseph with a message for his brothers who were tending their sheep far out in the fields. The sight of the long, rich robe was more than the brothers could bear. As he approached, they plotted together to kill Joseph and throw his body into a pit. His oldest brother Reuben could not bring himself to commit this terrible crime, so he suggested they should not kill him, but simply throw Joseph in the pit. Yeah. You know the pit I speak about. The pit of Mystery Babylon. Reuben thought he would return to rescue the boy later. When they had torn off Jacob's beautiful robe, however, and thrown him into the pit, they saw some merchants coming down the road. The other brothers decided they would sell Joseph to the merchants as a slave. In those days, many poor families sent some of their children to work for wealthy men, since they could not always take care of their own children. The brothers then realized that they would have to answer to their father for Joseph's disappearance. So they killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe, yea, in the blood of the young goat, a little kid. And they took it to their father Jacob. The father was sure that his favorite son had been killed by wild animals, and he could not be comforted in his grief. The merchants took Joseph with them into Egypt, and there they sold him to Potiphar, an important officer of the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Joseph was a faithful and valuable servant, and Potiphar put him in charge of his household. After a time, Potiphar's wife made trouble for Joseph, and he was thrown into prison. Yea, the left hand. Yea, not able to turn the right hand of Joseph aside. So they sent him to the dungeon, since he would not go into the pit. Sorry, I've lost my place. But mighty Jehovah, in his mercy and faithfulness to his sons, the son of Israel, he continued to watch over Joseph, giving him the power to know the meanings of dreams. Also in prison with him were Pharaoh's butler and baker, who had offended the king. One night they both had dreams, which they told to Joseph. The butler dreamed that there were 3 branches with buds on them. The buds turned into blossoms, and the blossoms ripened into grapes. The butler dreamed that he pressed the grapes into Pharaoh's cup and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. Joseph told the butler that his dream meant that within 3 days the Pharaoh would free him from prison. He would get his job back, and hand Pharaoh his cup. And he did before, as he did before when he was Pharaoh's butler. The baker dreamed that there were 3 cakes, that there were 3 cake baskets on his head. In the top basket, there were all kinds of baked food for the Pharaoh. The king's delicacies. But birds were eating out of his basket. Joseph told the baker that his dream meant that in 3 days the Pharaoh would hang him from a tree full of birds. At the end of 3 days, the Pharaoh had a birthday. He made a feast for all his servants. He freed the butler from prison and gave him his job back. But he hanged the baker. Before the butler left prison, Joseph asked him to help get him out of prison once he was back in the Pharaoh's service. But the man forgot about Joseph for, it must have been over 2 years. Then one day, the Pharaoh told his servants about a strange dream of his and asked the brother, that butler, if he knew anyone who could interpret it. The butler remembered his brother Joseph. But was still in prison. And he was ashamed that he had forgotten about him for 2 whole years. He told Pharaoh how Joseph had interpreted his dream and the baker's dream, and the Pharaoh immediately sent for Joseph. Pharaoh told Joseph he had dreamed that 7 fat cattle were grazing in a field, and 7 lean cattle came up and ate the fat cattle. Then there were 7 good ears of corn on a stalk, and 7 withered ears grew up and ate the good ears. Joseph, the one who had fought the angel of Yahovah, Yahoshua himself, the Spirit, sent forth a love of the truth, and he wouldn't let go until he received the blessing and removed the curse. He fought and he walked with a limp the rest of his life for winning that race. Pharaoh was deeply impressed with Joseph, so he appointed the young man to handle this very important job for him. When the famine came 7 years later, Egypt was the only land that had food. The surrounding countries had to send to Egypt to buy food. They had to deal with Joseph, who was now second in importance only to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh made him second in command because he could interpret his dream and prepare for it. Because the people believed in his word. And the things in his heart and mind. By the angel of Mariahovah. Hallelujah. Yahushua, our King. So do you remember what Joseph told him, the Pharaoh? You got to be careful with the Pharaoh. He'll hang you from a tree with birds watching, cackling like crows. And vultures waiting for their lancing to come forth. But when Joseph told the Pharaoh what God was telling him through the dream, that there would be, those 7 years of rich harvests, but in the 7 years that followed, not enough rain would fall and not enough food would be grown. Joseph advised the Pharaoh to appoint someone to buy up all the spare food he could obtain during the 7 good years. And so, when the famine came, it had also struck Canaan land. Where Joseph's family had lived. They still were there. And Jacob had to send for his sons. And he told them, you must go to Egypt to buy grain. But he kept his youngest son, Benjamin, with him. When the brothers appeared before Joseph, they did not recognize him, but he knew them at once. Joseph spoke harshly to his brothers. He accused them of being spies and put them into jail. He noticed that Benjamin was not with them, and he wanted to see him. This was Joseph's only full brother. The others had different mothers and were therefore his half-brothers. Full brothers, same father, same mother. Joseph, the chosen brother and son, and Benjamin, the treasure of his father. So later, Joseph, he gave his brothers a generous supply of grain, but demanded that one of them be kept in prison until the others returned with Benjamin. The brothers were very unhappy about this and talked among themselves. They decided that this must be punishment. for the way that they had treated their brother Joseph years before. Hearing this, Joseph wept, but he did not let his brothers see him weep. He still treated them harshly and tied up his brother Simeon, and he put him in prison, where he would stay until the others returned with Benjamin. When the brothers went back to Canaan, they pleaded with Jacob to let Benjamin go with them to Egypt. They promised to protect Benjamin with their lives. Simeon was still a prisoner in Egypt. The famine was still in the land of Canaan, and Jacob's family needed food. So he finally, regrettably, sadly consented to let his sons take Benjamin with him. When Joseph saw Benjamin, he was so moved that again he left the room and wept. When Joseph returned to the room and faced his brothers, he was still harsh and wanted to test them further. In the morning, Joseph instructed his servants to fill the brothers' bags with grain and to put his silver cup into Benjamin's bag. Then Joseph demanded that the one who had the cup be kept as his slave. So they were leaving, and the cup was found missing and found in Benjamin's bag. So he cunningly kept his full brother Benjamin at his side and sent the other brothers back to their father. And so when they went back, Joseph, he demanded that the one who had the cup be kept as his slave. His officers searched every bag, and when they came to Benjamin's, they found that silver cup. The brothers refused to part with Benjamin. They told Joseph that their father was an old man and would be in deep sorrow if he lost his beloved son. For he had already lost another son, who was torn to pieces by a wild animal. Then Yehuda, one of the brothers, pleaded to let Benjamin go back with them, and even offered himself as a slave instead. Yea, the honor of Yehuda for his brother Benjamin. Yea, moved by this display of brotherly love, Joseph broke down and told them, I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And he and his brothers wept for joy to see each other again. Joseph then sent for his father, who could not believe his good fortune until he actually saw Joseph. Jacob brought his family to live in Egypt, and they stayed there for many years because they were well treated by the Pharaoh who admired Joseph so very much. Yea. Shadow pictures. Yea. Do you read the Bible each day? Do you, little spotless yearling lamb? Yea, do you believe in the Spirit? The door into the spirit world, the world to come, this corrupted world of Mystery Babylon that is all around us, the darkness of Sheol upon the earth, the blindness of men's eyes, but the flash of lightning and the sound of booming thunder and rain from the clouds above. Yea, bring forth the seed in the good ground. Yea, that your aim, that your buckeye would always receive the tip of the arrow. Yea, and the sin in your life, the measure that you miss the mark, the eye of the bull, yea, the bull's eye, yea, the anointed mind that open, that see the door, yea, even the double door of the temple open wide by Yahushua, yea, until he was pierced, and for 40 years the doors never opened. Yahushua never opened the doors again. And the goat, yea, wearing red, yea, the white lambskin, circumcised, died in Yahushua's blood. Yea, the sin of Jacob, the left hand of his mother, the whore of Mystery Babylon. That world all around us that you refuse to believe. And know that those that come in the kingdom of light, the kingdom of heaven inside, and come not through the door, they are robbers, thieves, and worship demons, and know not the true God of the Sabbath day, to recharge with his power, to walk radiant and magnificent, holy, with clean hands and a pure heart, for 6 days and 6 nights in Mystery Babylon, slaying darkness and wickedness, yea, until the end of their time. And all the widow's might be groovy and seen, being poured in to the sons brought back to life. That the oil would be poured into the sons of love, yea, seen and unseen upon the earth, in heavens and upon the earth. That the wickedness would be cast down to Sheol forever, as this day is 1,000 years with our Father, that wickedness would be bound for 1,000 years, bound to be judged by Yahushua, yea, in the anointing anointed mind of the Son. A willing vessel, a divine transport carrier of Yahovah's presence, the Ruach Kodesh. Yea, His truth, mighty friends. His truth keeps marching on. You must love the truth more than your next breath, and distill drops of water and bless it with those words. 40 days and 40 nights, like Noah in the ark. Yea, with all the beasts of the field. Yea, that they would come forth subdued. Yea, the whole earth. Dominion of the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, and the fish and creatures of the deep.